This is a video by Richmond. Today we are doing some troubleshooting on a vehicle with a no start condition. And what I mean by no start is that the key is turned to the start position and the engine does not rotate. So we'll need a multimeter for this. And we want to set it to the DC voltage scale. And we're going to hook our leads up to the battery, because we want to check the battery first, make sure that that's not our problem. Negative lead of the meter to negative cable, red positive to the positive cable. Next thing we want to do is turn the lights on, and we do not want to see the voltage drop below 12 volts. Very good. If it dropped below 12, well, that's your problem right there. You have a bad battery. So, voltage is good. So let's go on to checking the starter. Next thing we want to do is get the vehicle up on jack stands or ramps, because in most cases the starter is underneath the vehicle and we have to access the wires that go to the starter now. Next thing we need to do is put the vehicle in neutral and pull up the emergency brake if it's a standard, and if it's an automatic we need to put it into park. Did I say park? Yeah, I said park. Next thing we want to do is to remove the negative battery cable from the battery. Now, if starting the car, if we hear no click when we turn the ignition key to start, we want to remove the start wire from the starter solenoid. In this one right here, that purple wire that comes down to the small 10mm nut on the solenoid, we want to remove that very carefully. And we want to put our red lead to the multimeter on that wire, and then the negative lead of the other end of the multimeter to ground. Then we want to have somebody turn the key to start and watch the voltage of the meter. It shouldn't drop below 12 volts. Alright, let's hook it up right now. Here is the red lead of the multimeter connected to the purple wire we disconnected from the starter solenoid, and over here on the left is the negative black lead from the meter that goes to a nice clean ground. So do not let that purple wire touch anything, because we're going to put the negative battery cable back on the battery, and then we're going to turn the ignition key to start and observe the voltage on the DC scale of the multimeter. So let's do that now. Now we want to put our multimeter on the DC voltage scale. Hook up the negative battery cable to the battery. Now have somebody turn the ignition key to start, and we shouldn't see anything lower than 12 volts. Now, if you saw voltage below 12 volts, well, then there's a problem with the ignition key or the wires that go up to the ignition. The next thing we're going to test is if you heard a click when you turn the ignition key to start. Now, if you did, now we want to check the positive cable that comes down to the starter solenoid. Now remove the negative cable from the battery, because we don't want this thing hot right here while we're testing it. Take the nut off here, take the positive cable off, and now we're going to hook, don't let it touch anything, and we're going to hook our positive lead of the meter to the cable and the negative end of the meter to the ground, and we want to check the voltage at that cable right there, and we don't want to see anything lower than 12 volts. Alright, let's hook it up. Here is the positive lead of the meter to the positive cable from the battery, and the black wire over here to a good ground on the starter. Alright, now we're going to hook our negative lead back on the battery and check that shows below 12 volts. Well, then you've got a problem with that cable. Either the cable or the connection at the other end is dirty or faulty. If your voltage looks good above 12 volts, well then the starter is faulty. So that's all there is to doing a basic troubleshoot on a no-start condition.